The concierge's fingers snapped inches from her face like he was calling a disobedient dog. "Hey, are you deaf? I said service entrance is around back. Don't make me call animal control to drag you out." Dr. Keisha Washington stood in the marble lobby of the Grand Meridian Hotel, her $3,000 Armani suit pristine despite the verbal assault. The concierge's nameplate read, Derek, physically shoved her designer purse away from the mahogany counter. His exaggerated hand gestures drew snickers from guests checking in nearby. "Lady, you probably can't even afford the parking here," Derek continued, his voice carrying across the lobby. "Stop embarrassing yourself." Keisha pulled out her phone and began recording. Her expression remained calm, almost serene. She had exactly 45 minutes. Have you ever been treated like garbage in a place you actually owned? What would you do if you had 45 minutes to turn their world upside down? The digital clock above the reception desk read 10:15 a.m. 45 minutes until the quarterly board meeting that would change everything. Derek wasn't finished. He took Keisha's business card from the counter, the one she'd placed there moments before, and tore it in half. The pieces fluttered to the Italian marble like confetti. "Dr. Keisha Washington, CEO," he read mockingly before the fragments hit the floor. "Everyone's got business cards printed online these days." A young woman near the elevator bank discreetly angled her phone toward the scene. Zara, 19 and visiting from Howard University, had opened Instagram Live without thinking. The viewer count climbed, 47, 89, 156. "This racist mess at Grand Meridian," she whispered to her phone. "Y'all seeing this?" Derek stepped closer to Keisha, invading her personal space. The scent of his cheap cologne mixed with stale coffee breath. "Look, lady, this is a 5-star establishment. We have standards here." He gestured towards the back hallway. "The kitchen staff entrance is that way. Hiring starts tomorrow at 6 a.m. Other staff members began to notice. The front desk clerk, a blonde woman in her 30s, glanced over with barely concealed amusement. Two bellhops paused their luggage duties to watch what they clearly considered entertainment. Keisha's phone buzzed. A text from the board chairman. "Looking forward to your presentation on customer service metrics, Keisha. See you at 11. She held the phone screen toward Derek. "I believe there's been a misunderstanding." Derek squinted at the message, then laughed, a harsh sound that echoed off the vaulted ceiling. "Nice try. You can fake text messages all you want." He turned to address the growing audience of hotel guests. "Can you believe this? Another scammer trying to con her way in?" A middle-aged businessman in an expensive suit shook his head in apparent disgust. "The nerve of some people," he muttered to his wife, loud enough for everyone to hear. Keisha's Hermes briefcase sat beside her feet, the gold-embossed initials KWCEO clearly visible. Derek had glanced at it twice but dismissed it entirely. Her Platinum Hotel loyalty card, the kind reserved for owners and board members, lay on the counter where she'd placed it. He'd pushed it aside without reading it. "Ma'am," Derek said, his voice dripping with false patience, "I'm going to need you to leave now. Voluntarily, before this becomes more embarrassing for you." Zara's live stream had exploded to 800 viewers. Comments flooded the screen. "OMG, this is insane. Record everything. Someone call the news. This hotel bout to get dragged." But not all comments supported Keisha. Several viewers wrote variations of "good, put her in her place," and "finally someone with backbone." The elevator chimed, and assistant manager Brad Thompson emerged. 35 years old, with perfectly styled hair and a smug expression that suggested he'd been briefed on the situation during his ride down. He surveyed the scene with the satisfaction of a man who believed he was about to handle an unpleasant but necessary task. "Is there a problem here, Derek?" "Just removing an unwanted presence, sir. She's been asked to leave multiple times." Brad turned to Keisha with theatrical politeness. "Ma'am, this establishment has standards. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at the Motel 6 down the street." He said it loud enough for the entire lobby to hear, timing it perfectly for maximum humiliation. Several guests chuckled. A family with 2 young children stopped to stare, the parents making no effort to shield their kids from the discrimination unfolding before them. Keisha's phone rang. The caller ID showed board member Richard Sterling. "Excuse me," she said calmly, answering the call. "Hello, Richard." "Keisha, just wanted to confirm we're still on schedule for 11. The presentation on inclusive customer service initiatives?" "Absolutely. In fact, I'm gathering some very relevant data right now." Brad rolled his eyes dramatically. "Oh, you want to speak to the manager? How original." He gestured toward himself with mock grandeur. "Well, here I am, and I'm telling you the same thing Derek told you. Leave. Now." Derek crossed his arms, emboldened by his supervisor's support. "Should I call security, Mr. Thompson?" "Please do. And make sure they understand this is trespassing." Keisha ended her call and looked directly at Brad. "I see. Please call your general manager immediately." Brad's laugh was condescending. "The general manager doesn't handle vagrant removal. That's what security is for." The front desk clerk leaned toward her colleague. $10 says she tries to sue when security gets here." "You're on," the other woman replied. "These people always lawyer up when they get caught." When Zara's livestream viewers had swelled to 1,100. Her whispered commentary kept pace. They just called security on this woman for literally standing in a hotel lobby. She's dressed better than anyone else here. Keisha reached into her briefcase and withdrew a manila folder. The tab read, Q3 Board Meeting, Customer Service Metrics. She set it on the counter beside her loyalty card. Derek glanced at the folder dismissively. "Fake documents won't help you, lady." Through the lobby's floor-to-ceiling windows, Keisha could see the Chicago skyline. Her hotel, though none of these people knew it yet, commanded some of the most expensive real estate in the city. The irony wasn't lost on her. "Derek," she said quietly, "I'm going to give you one more opportunity to reconsider your actions." He snorted. "Or what? You'll call your fake lawyer with your fake business card?" The security radio crackled. "This is Robert, on my way down." 32 minutes until the board meeting. 32 minutes until everything changed. The security chief's footsteps echoed through the lobby like a countdown. Robert Hayes emerged from the elevator at 10:28 a.m., 32 minutes remaining. 6'4" and built like a former bouncer, he cracked his knuckles theatrically as he approached. "All right, what's the situation?" Robert's voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to intimidating people into compliance. Brad stepped forward eagerly. "Trespasser refuses to leave. She's been asked multiple times." Robert positioned himself directly in front of Keisha, blocking her path to both the main entrance and the elevators. He towered over her deliberately, a classic intimidation tactic. "Lady, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. Your choice." The lobby had transformed into an amphitheater. Hotel guests formed a loose semicircle around the confrontation, phones raised to capture what they expected would be a humiliating removal. A businessman in a $1,000 suit muttered to his companion, "Finally, someone put her in her place." His wife nodded approvingly. "These people need to learn respect." 2 teenage boys pressed against the glass doors, filming everything on their phones. Their mother didn't stop them. She was too busy recording her own video. Zara's Instagram Live had exploded to 4,200 viewers. The comments section moved so fast it was barely readable. "This is insane. She's so calm, though. World star. Get her out. This hotel is racist AF. Call the police already. She thinks she owns the place, LOL." But Zara noticed something others missed. Despite the chaos, despite the threats, Keisha Washington hadn't moved an inch. She stood with perfect posture, phone still recording, as if she owned the ground beneath her feet. "Ma'am," Robert continued, I need you to empty that purse. Probably stolen anyway. I beg your pardon? You heard me. Empty it. Now. That bag probably costs more than you make in a year. The front desk clerk leaned over the counter to get a better view. Ooh, this is getting good, she whispered to her colleague. Keisha's phone buzzed with another call. Board member Patricia Carter. She answered calmly. Patricia, hello. Keisha, I'm running a few minutes late. Traffic from O'Hare is brutal. Will you be presenting the customer service data we discussed? Actually, I'm conducting some real-time research as we speak. Robert snatched the phone from her hand mid-conversation. No more calls, lady. The game's over. The action sent a ripple through the crowd. Even some guests who'd been enjoying the spectacle shifted uncomfortably. Taking someone's phone crossed a line that made even the initially sympathetic observers nervous. Give me back my phone, Keisha said quietly. After we search your bag and call the real police. Derek joined the pile-on, emboldened by the security chief's aggression. That driver's license looks fake too. Where'd you get it? The same place you printed that business card. He turned to the crowd like a performer working an audience. Check this out, everybody. Professional scammer at work. A well-dressed elderly woman clapped slowly. Thank goodness someone's maintaining standards around here. The front desk clerk decided to contribute her own cruelty. Should I call Chicago PD for identity theft charges? She's probably got warrants anyway. Do it, Brad said, practically bouncing with excitement. Let them sort this out downtown in a holding cell where she belongs. A housekeeping supervisor had emerged from the back offices, drawn by the commotion. She whispered something to a colleague that made them both laugh loudly enough for Keisha to hear. The bell captain abandoned his post entirely to get a better view of what everyone expected would be a perp walk. More staff members materialized as word spread through the hotel's communication system. Maintenance workers, restaurant servers, even the gift shop clerk had found reasons to be in the lobby. They formed their own cheering section behind the front desk. Robert pulled out plastic zip-tie restraints, the kind used for mass arrests. Turn around. Hands behind your back. This show's over. On what grounds? Trespassing, fraud, identity theft, disturbing the peace, impersonating a business executive. He counted each charge on his fingers like a prosecutor. Take your pick, sweetheart. The crowd murmured approval. Someone actually started a slow clap that others joined. The lobby intercom crackled to life. Brad had moved to the front desk and grabbed the microphone with the theatrical flair of a game show host. Attention, guests. Please be patient while we remove this disruption from the premises. The Grand Meridian apologizes for any inconvenience caused by this individual's attempted fraud. The announcement transformed what had been a localized humiliation into a hotel-wide spectacle. Guests emerged from the elevator banks, the restaurant, the spa, the gift shop. Children pressed their faces against the glass doors of the business center. Even the valet attendants had abandoned their posts outside to witness the removal. A concierge from the upper floors descended specifically to watch. Heard there was some excitement down here, he said to Derek. Just cleaning the house, Derek replied proudly. Zara's live stream peaked at 8,900 viewers. Screen recordings were being shared across Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook. Hashtag Grand Meridian Racism began trending in Chicago, with sub-hashtags like #HotelKaren and #SecurityFail gaining momentum. But something else was happening in the comments. Several viewers had started researching the hotel itself. Wait, who owns this hotel? Someone looked up Grand Meridian executives. That woman looks familiar. Why is she so calm, though? This feels wrong. She got that CEO energy angel. Robert approached with the restraints, savoring what he clearly expected to be his moment of triumph. You picked the wrong hotel to run your scam, lady. Keisha remained perfectly still as he approached. Her Hermes briefcase sat beside her feet like a ticking time bomb. Her platinum loyalty card caught the lobby's crystal chandelier light. Her tailored suit cost more than most people's monthly rent. You know what? Derek announced to his captive audience. I bet she doesn't even have a car here. Probably took 3 buses and thought she could scam some rich businessman in the bar. The valet attendant, a young man named Marcus who'd been watching from the doorway, cleared his throat. Actually, there's a Bentley in the VIP section. Black Continental GT. Been there since yesterday. Derek waved dismissively. Probably stolen too, or belongs to whoever she's trying to scam. But Marcus continued, his voice growing stronger. License plate says CEO KW. Kind of a weird coincidence, right? The comment hung in the air like smoke. A few guests exchanged uncertain glances. Brad's confident smirk flickered for just a moment before returning full force. Stolen plates, he said quickly. These scammers think of everything. Robert ignored the observation entirely, drunk on the power and attention. Last chance, lady. Hands behind your back or I do this the hard way in front of all these nice people. The crowd pressed closer, phones raised, waiting for the finale. 28 minutes until the board meeting. Everything was about to change. Keisha looked directly into Zara's phone camera, then spoke with quiet authority that cut through the lobby noise. I'm going to give everyone here one final opportunity to reconsider their actions. Or what? Robert laughed, flexing the zip tie restraints. You'll sue us with your fake lawyer? No, Keisha said, walking calmly toward the business center. I'll handle this myself. Robert moved to block her path, but something in her demeanor gave him pause. She walked with the confidence of someone who belonged exactly where she was. Not the nervous energy of someone caught in a lie, but the steady determination of someone heading home. Where do you think you're going? To resolve this situation. The business center door required a key card. Keisha pulled one from her wallet, not a guest key card, but something different. Something platinum with executive access embossed in gold lettering. The card was thicker than standard hotel keys, with a holographic security strip that caught the light and shifted colors as she moved it. The lock turned green immediately with a soft chime that sounded different from regular guest access, a melodic tone reserved for the highest clearance levels. The sound made Derek flinch, as if he recognized it but couldn't place where he'd heard it before. Derek's voice cracked slightly. How did she... Stolen key card, Brad said quickly, but his certainty was fading. The confidence that had carried him through the last 20 minutes was developing hairline cracks. Has to be. Security will figure it out when they run the card number. Through the glass walls of the business center, everyone could see Keisha approaching the executive computer terminal. Not the guest computers near the entrance that tourists use to print boarding passes, but the secured workstation in the back corner that most people didn't even notice. The one with the locked cabinet, multiple monitors, and biometric scanner that looked like something from a spy movie. She placed her thumb on the fingerprint reader. It glowed blue, scanning, then green. A small beep indicated access granted. The scanner's light reflected off her wedding ring, a band that cost more than most people's cars. What the hell? Robert pressed his face against the glass like a child at an aquarium. That's supposed to be restricted access only. Several guests had moved closer to the business center windows, drawn by the unfolding drama. The businessman who'd been so eager to see Keisha removed was now sweating profusely, loosening his tie with nervous fingers. Keisha entered a login code from memory. No hesitation, no fumbling with written passwords, no calling tech support. Her fingers moved across the keyboard with the muscle memory of someone who'd performed this action hundreds of times. The keyboard was customized ergonomic, expensive, designed for extended executive use. The computer screen was visible to anyone close enough to look. A corporate logo appeared, the same grand meridian crest that adorned the lobby walls, letterhead, and uniforms. Then a login screen that read, Grand Meridian Executive Portal. Authorized personnel only. Unauthorized access, subject to federal prosecution under USC Title 18. The loading screen displayed today's date, the hotel's location, current occupancy rates, and a warning about recording all executive sessions for compliance purposes. Real-time data scrolled past, revenue numbers, guest satisfaction scores, Employee performance metrics. Zara's live stream exploded as viewers realized what they were witnessing. The comment count surged past 12,000. Oh my God. She has executive access? Plot twist of the century. This hotel bout to get wrecked. Someone call the news. Brushy owns the hotel. Derek bout to get fired. This is better than Netflix. Karen got Karen'd. Recording this for my sociology class. Viral video incoming. News outlets were already picking up the live stream. Screenshots began circulating on Twitter with hashtags like #HotelOwnerRevenge and #CEO_clapsback. The system finished loading with a distinctive welcome sound classical music that played in the hotel's promotional videos and executive presentations. And then, in letters large enough for half the lobby to see, "Welcome, Dr. Keisha Washington, Chief Executive Officer. Last login, yesterday, 6:47 p.m. Current session, executive level access granted." Below that, a dashboard displayed real-time hotel statistics. 347 rooms occupied, $127,000 in daily revenue, 98% guest satisfaction score, and a staff performance summary that included Derek's customer service ratings, which were about to plummet. The silence that followed was deafening. You could hear the air conditioning humming, the distant sound of traffic outside, the barely audible tick of the antique clock near the concierge desk. Someone's luggage wheels squeaked as they tried to sneak toward the exit. A coffee cup clattered as a guest's hands began shaking. Derek's face drained of color so quickly he looked like he might faint. His mouth opened and closed without sound, like a fish gasping for air. He gripped the concierge desk for support, his knuckles white, his nameplate trembling against the marble surface. Brad sat down hard in the nearest lobby chair, his legs suddenly unable to support him. The folder of evidence he'd been preparing to show police scattered across the marble floor guest complaint forms, trespassing citations, security incident reports, all useless now. Papers fluttered like falling leaves, each one a testament to his misguided confidence. Robert's zip-tie restraints slipped from his fingers and clattered to the ground with a sound that echoed through the stunned lobby like breaking glass. The tough guy's swagger had vanished completely, replaced by the pale complexion of a man realizing his career was over. His security radio crackled with check-ins from other guards, but he couldn't find his voice to respond. The front desk clerk's hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." Her colleague beside her started hyperventilating, fanning herself with guest registration cards. A third clerk who'd joined the mockery earlier was frantically deleting her social media posts about the incident. Marcus, the valet attendant, was the first to find his voice. "The Bentley," he said weakly. "CEO KW, Chief Executive Officer, Keisha Washington." He turned to Derek with something between awe and horror. "You just tried to throw out the owner of the hotel, the owner!" The realization spread through the crowd like wildfire. Whispers grew to murmurs, murmurs to exclamations. Hotel guests began pulling out their phones frantically, not to record Keisha's arrest, but to delete the videos they'd just filmed of themselves cheering for her humiliation. The businessman who'd been muttering about putting her in her place grabbed his wife's arm and tried to slip toward the elevator. His face was ashen, sweat staining his expensive shirt. "We need to leave," he hissed. "Now, before anyone recognizes us." His wife, equally panicked, whispered back, "What if we're already on that live stream? What if people at work see us? What if our neighbors see us?" The elderly woman who'd been clapping for the removal stopped mid-applause, her hands frozen in mid-air like a broken mannequin. She looked around frantically, as if searching for an escape route from her own actions. Children who'd been watching the show now tugged at their parents' clothes, asking questions their parents couldn't answer. Why did those people try to hurt the nice lady? Is she really the boss of everyone here? But Keisha emerged from the business center before anyone could escape, holding a printed document. The paper bore the official Grand Meridian executive letterhead with security watermarks visible under the lobby's lighting. Her phone, still in Robert's trembling hand, began ringing with what sounded like every board member calling simultaneously. The ringtone wasn't a standard melody. It was the opening notes of the company theme song that played in Grand Meridian promotional videos, a tune that regular employees heard in training videos and corporate meetings. Every staff member in the lobby recognized it immediately. "I believe that's mine," Keisha said, extending her hand toward Robert. He handed it over like it was made of fragile glass, his hands shaking so badly he nearly dropped it twice. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the lobby's perfect climate control. His security uniform, which had seemed so authoritative minutes before, now looked like a costume on a man playing a role he'd never been qualified for. Keisha answered the call on speaker. "Hello, Richard." "Keisha, I just got the strangest call from Patricia. She said you were cut off mid-conversation. Is everything all right?" The phone's speaker was loud enough for nearby guests to hear every word of the board chairman's voice. His tone was familiar, comfortable, the way someone speaks to a longtime colleague and friend. The kind of tone that indicated years of successful business partnership. "Everything's perfect. I'm gathering some fascinating data for today's presentation." "Excellent. The board is particularly interested in your customer service metrics. The quarterly diversity and inclusion report should make for compelling discussion. I trust you'll have some concrete examples?" "More concrete than I ever imagined possible." Through the phone, the sound of papers shuffling and multiple voices in the background suggested the board members were already gathering for the meeting. Someone in the background mentioned quarterly revenue exceeding expectations. "See you in 20 minutes, Keisha. Looking forward to your insights on staff training effectiveness. The investors are particularly interested in our customer experience initiatives." 20 minutes. The number hit the lobby like a physical blow. 18 minutes until the board meeting. The real show was about to begin. Derek tried to speak, but only managed a strangled whisper. "Ma'am, Dr. Washington, we didn't know." Keisha held up one finger for silence while she scrolled through her phone. The printed document in her other hand bore the Grand Meridian letterhead and what appeared to be employee termination forms, multiple copies, pre-signed with her electronic signature. "Actually," she said, her voice carrying easily through the silent lobby, "I'd like everyone who participated in this morning's events to remain exactly where they are. We're about to conduct an impromptu performance review." The words carried the unmistakable authority of someone who signed paychecks. Several staff members who'd been attempting to slip away froze mid-step. Keisha walked to the front desk and accessed the computer terminal there. Her employee ID card worked on every system in the building. The screen displayed the hotel's organizational chart, complete with photos, employment history, and performance ratings. Derek Martinez, concierge, employee ID 4471. I was hired 18 months ago. She read from the screen like a court clerk announcing charges. Current salary, $34,000 annually. Performance reviews, satisfactory until today. Derek's face crumpled. Behind him, his girlfriend had arrived for their planned lunch date and stood frozen in the doorway, witnessing his career destruction in real time. Brad Thompson, assistant manager, employee ID 2847, 3 years of service. Salary, $52,000. Recent promotion to management track. Keisha's voice remained calm, clinical. Performance evaluations consistently rated meets expectations until approximately 37 minutes ago. Brad finally found his voice, though it came out as a croak. "Dr. Washington, please, there's been a terrible misunderstanding." "Has there?" Keisha pressed play on her phone. Derek's voice filled the lobby. "Hey, are you deaf? I said service entrance is around back. Don't make me call animal control to drag you out." The sound of his own words seemed to physically wound him. He swayed on his feet, gripping the concierge desk. The recording continued. Brad's voice. "Ma'am, this establishment has standards. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at the Motel 6 down the street?" Nervous laughter from hotel guests echoed from the phone's speaker, including the businessman who was now frantically pressing the elevator call button with increasing desperation. "That driver's license looks fake," came Derek's voice again. "Where'd you get it? The same place you printed that business card." Robert's recorded voice boomed through the lobby. "Probably stolen anyway. You can fake text messages all you want." Each playback hit like a hammer blow. The front desk clerk who'd made snide comments tried to duck behind the computer monitor, but there was nowhere to hide. Robert Hayes, Security Chief, Employee ID 1203, 8 years of service, salary $58,000 plus benefits. Keisha pulled up his file. Trained in de-escalation techniques, certified in customer service protocols, licensed security professional. She looked directly at Robert. Your training manual, section 4.2, states that security personnel should treat all hotel visitors with dignity and respect, regardless of appearance or perceived economic status. Would you like me to quote that verbatim? Robert opened his mouth, but no sound emerged. His security license hung around his neck like a millstone. Zara's live stream had exploded to 28,000 viewers. Comments flooded past faster than anyone could read. This is justice. CEO is destroying them with facts. Read them the employee handbook. This is better than any reality show. Dragged with data. Keisha accessed the hotel's financial dashboard on the lobby display screen. Numbers populated in real time. This hotel generates $47.2 million in annual revenue. That breaks down to approximately $129,000 per day. She gestured toward the staff. Your combined annual salaries total $183,000. Less than 2 days of hotel revenue. The brutal mathematics hung in the air. She was demonstrating exactly how replaceable they were. Our customer satisfaction scores averaged 4.7 out of 5 stars last quarter. We spent $2.8 million on staff training and customer service initiatives. Her fingers moved across the tablet she'd retrieved from the business center. Federal discrimination lawsuits in the hospitality industry average $2.3 million in settlements, plus punitive damages that can reach $10 million. Derek's girlfriend in the doorway gasped audibly. The number represented more money than most people would see in their lifetimes. But more importantly, Keisha continued, our brand reputation took approximately 12 minutes to suffer measurable damage. She showed them her phone screen. Our Twitter mentions have increased 340% in the last hour. Grand Meridian racism is trending in 6 major markets. The hotel's communications director came running from the elevator, tablet in hand, face flushed with panic. Dr. Washington, CNN is asking for a statement. The Chicago Tribune wants an interview. We're getting calls from civil rights organizations. Thank you, Jennifer. Please tell all media outlets that I'll have a comprehensive statement following today's board meeting. Jennifer nodded and hurried back to manage the crisis these employees had created. Keisha turned back to Derek, Brad, and Robert. Now, regarding immediate consequences. Derek, your employment is terminated effective immediately. Cause: violation of company policy regarding discriminatory conduct, section 12.4 of the employee handbook. She handed him a pre-printed termination letter. Security will escort you from the premises. Your final paycheck will reflect today's date and will not include severance pay due to termination for cause. Derek's knees buckled. His girlfriend rushed to support him, shooting horrified glances at the crowd of witnesses. Brad Thompson, your management position is terminated immediately. Your actions violated not only company policy but also the management training you completed just 6 months ago. Another termination letter. Your termination will be reported to the Hospitality Industry Employment Database. Future background checks will reflect termination for discriminatory conduct. Brad's face had turned gray. The implications were sinking in. He'd never work in hotel management again. Robert Hayes, your security position is terminated immediately. Your conduct violated both company policy and professional security standards. I'll be filing a complaint with the state licensing board regarding your fitness to hold a security license. The termination letters were detailed, specific, and legally airtight. Each one referenced specific policy violations, training requirements they'd ignored, and legal statutes they'd potentially violated. The front desk clerk who made disparaging comments. Sarah Mitchell will receive a formal written reprimand and mandatory bias training. Any future incidents will result in immediate termination. Sarah had tears streaming down her face. The written reprimand would follow her for years. All other staff members who participated or encouraged this incident will receive mandatory retraining and 6-month probationary status. The housekeeping supervisor who'd been laughing earlier looked like she might be sick. Keisha checked her watch. The board meeting begins in 15 minutes. I'll be presenting this incident as a case study in what happens when customer service training fails. She gestured toward Zara's still streaming phone. This footage will become part of our mandatory training program for all new hires. The terminated employees stood in stunned silence, clutching their termination letters like obituaries. You have 10 minutes to collect personal belongings from your lockers. Security will escort you out. Keisha's tone remained professional, detached. Any company property not returned will be deducted from your final paychecks. The elevator arrived, and the businessman who'd been trying to escape found his path blocked by other guests who wanted to see the conclusion. He was trapped, sweating, knowing his face was probably all over social media by now. One final note, Keisha said, addressing the entire lobby. This hotel's surveillance system recorded everything that happened here today. The footage will be preserved as evidence of our commitment to inclusive customer service. She paused, letting that sink in. The board meeting starts in 12 minutes. I suggest terminated employees use that time wisely. Derek, Brad, and Robert shuffled toward the elevators like condemned men walking to their execution. The crowd parted to let them pass, but the silence was deafening. Justice served. Careers ended. Consequences delivered with surgical precision. The real power wasn't in shouting or threats. It was in data, policies, and the absolute authority to enforce them both. 10 minutes later, Derek, Brad, and Robert emerged from the elevators carrying cardboard boxes containing their personal belongings. Their security escort guards, who'd once been their colleagues, maintained professional distance. No small talk, no sympathy, just business. Derek's girlfriend helped him carry his box, tears streaming down both their faces. 21 months of steady income gone. References destroyed. His LinkedIn profile would need a complete rewrite, assuming anyone would hire him after this went viral. The lobby had transformed into an impromptu press conference. Local news crews were setting up cameras outside, having caught wind of the story through social media. Zara's live stream had peaked at 45,000 viewers and was being screen recorded by dozens of news outlets. Keisha addressed the remaining staff with calm authority. For those who remain employed, we're implementing immediate changes to ensure this never happens again. She pulled out her tablet and began reading from a prepared document one she'd apparently drafted years ago, waiting for the right moment to implement. Effective immediately, all customer-facing employees will complete 20 hours of bias awareness training. This training is mandatory and will be repeated annually. She looked up from the tablet. The training includes scenarios based on today's events. The front desk clerks shifted uncomfortably, knowing they'd become cautionary tales. Second, we're implementing a customer service monitoring system. AI-powered software will analyze all guest interactions for signs of discriminatory behavior. Keisha gestured toward the ceiling-mounted cameras. The system is already installed. We're activating it today. Sarah Mitchell, the front desk clerk who'd received the written reprimand, raised her hand tentatively. Dr. Washington, what exactly does the monitoring system track? Voice tone analysis, facial expression recognition, and keyword detection. If the system flags potentially discriminatory behavior, managers are alerted within 30 seconds. Keisha's tone remained matter-of-fact. 3 flags result in mandatory retraining. 5 flags result in termination. The technology existed hospitality companies had been beta testing it for months. Keisha was simply the first CEO bold enough to implement it company-wide. Third, we're establishing a guest advocate program. Guests who experience discrimination can report incidents through a dedicated app that sends alerts directly to my office. She showed them the app on her phone. Response time target, under 5 minutes. Marcus, the valet attendant who tried to defend her earlier, spoke up. What about employees who witness discrimination but speak up about it? Excellent question. Employees who report discriminatory behavior receive a $500 bonus and recognition in their performance reviews. Keisha smiled for the first time that morning. Those who actively combat discrimination are fast-tracked for promotion. The policy created incentives for good behavior while making bad behavior costly. Fourth, mystery shopper programs will specifically test for bias. We are partnering with civil rights organizations to conduct unannounced evaluations. She gestured toward the main entrance where news crews were visible through the glass. Our scores will be published quarterly and shared with industry publications. Transparency as accountability. Hotel guests who'd witnessed the morning's events began approaching Keisha. The businessman who'd been trying to escape finally worked up the courage to speak. Dr. Washington, I want to apologize for my behavior. I was completely out of line. She looked at him calmly. What's your name? James Morrison. I'm here on business from Atlanta. Mr. Morrison, you're welcome to remain as our guest, but I'd suggest reflecting on why you felt comfortable cheering for someone's humiliation based on their race. He nodded, chastened. You're absolutely right. I'm going to do better. Other guests followed suit. Apologies, promises to do better, requests for forgiveness. Keisha received them all with professional grace, but without absolving anyone of their complicity. The elderly woman who'd been clapping approached last. Young lady, I owe you an apology. I've lived 82 years and thought I knew better. Today taught me that I still have learning to do. Mrs. Patterson, Helen Patterson. Mrs. Patterson, growth at any age shows wisdom. Thank you. Zara finally ended her live stream after nearly 2 hours. The final viewer count. 67,000 people had watched justice unfold in real time. Her video would be downloaded, shared, and referenced for years to come. Dr. Washington, Zara said, approaching shyly. Could I interview you sometime for my journalism class? Email my assistant. We'll arrange something. The news crews outside were multiplying. CNN, local affiliates, and digital media outlets had converged on the Grand Meridian. The story was already spreading nationally. Keisha checked her watch. 3 minutes until the board meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, she announced to the lobby, this concludes our impromptu customer service training. I trust everyone learned something valuable today. She gathered her materials and headed toward the elevator. The board was waiting. The real work of systemic change was about to begin. 6 months later, the Grand Meridian's transformation was complete. The hotel's customer satisfaction scores had jumped from 4.7 to 4.9 stars. Guest reviews specifically praised the inclusive atmosphere and respectful staff. Revenue increased 12% as word spread about the property's commitment to dignified service for everyone. Derek Martinez never worked in hospitality again. His termination video became a case study in business schools across the country, teaching students about the real cost of workplace discrimination. His girlfriend left him 3 weeks after the incident, unable to handle the social media attention and death threats from people who'd seen the viral footage. Brad Thompson moved back to his hometown in Ohio, where he took a job at his uncle's hardware store. Every job interview ended the same way. Aren't you the guy from that hotel video? His management career was over before he turned 40. Robert Hayes lost his security license after the state board review. He now works night security at a warehouse, earning half his former salary. His wife filed for divorce, citing the family's social ostracism and financial hardship. But the story's real impact extended far beyond individual consequences. The video has been viewed over 15 million times across all platforms. #Keisha Washington method became business terminology for using quiet authority and systematic consequences to address discrimination. Harvard Business School created an entire case study around her approach. 12 major hotel chains implemented similar monitoring systems within 60 days. The hospitality industry's approach to bias training was revolutionized overnight. What had taken decades of gradual progress happened in months because one video showed the real cost of discrimination. Keisha herself was named to Fortune's Most Powerful Women list and invited to speak at conferences worldwide. Her book, Quiet Power: Leading Through Dignity, became a bestseller. She used the platform to advocate for systemic change across corporate America. The Grand Meridian became a preferred destination for business travelers from diverse backgrounds. The hotel's diversity scores increased 340% within 6 months. Employee satisfaction improved as well workers felt proud to represent a company that stood for something meaningful. Zara graduated with honors from Howard University, her journalism career launched by that fateful Instagram live stream. She now works for CNN, covering social justice stories. Her first day at the network, she found a handwritten note from Keisha. "Keep telling stories that matter." These real-life stories remind us that change happens when people refuse to accept discrimination as normal. When we witness injustice, we have a choice: remain silent or speak up. Keisha's story shows the power of responding to hate with intelligence, to insult with dignity, to chaos with systematic change. The Black stories and touching stories shared in communities like ours prove that individual actions can create massive change. One person's courage to document injustice sparked a movement that transformed an entire industry. Have you witnessed discrimination at your workplace or in public? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience matters and could inspire the next viral moment of accountability. Hit that subscribe button for Black Tales Stories. We're building a community that refuses to stay silent when injustice happens. Share this video with someone who needs to see that dignity and intelligence always win over hate and ignorance. Because the best revenge? Success. And the best justice? Change that last.